Stephen, I'm going to bring you back in because there's a lot in that statement by Rudy Gobert that stands out. One word in particular to me was embarrassment. And I think, first and foremost, we need to have empathy for what he's going through right now on many levels. But that word embarrassment, I assume, Stephen A., you tell me, that refers to the video that is circulating across the world of him, having fun, I guess, with the situation before he knew he was infected and touching the microphones and the recorders before all of this went to this level. What stands out to you?
That it's appropriate for him to be embarrassed, because he should be embarrassed. And our sympathy goes out to him. We wish him nothing but the best. We hope that he regains good health. There's no question about it. And I certainly would not accuse him of having malice intent. He clearly did not mean to harm or to hurt anybody. He's actually a very, very good guy. League-wide, you'll hear people speak about him in very glowing fashion in terms of his personality and his affable tendencies and what have you. But the reality is that he came across as incredibly insensitive, incredibly immature. And that's really what stands out in your mind at a time when we were talking about the coronavirus, where the momentum was escalating in terms of it entering the mind's eye and what have you, with media members in front of his face. He literally took his hands and touched the microphone and touched tape recorders and all of that stuff on purpose to dismiss the significance of what was being reported. Then, according to a report from Adrian Wojnarowski just earlier today, you had several people, upon learning of the diagnosis on the part of Donovan Mitchell that he had been infected, you had people talking about they felt a little resentment because he was in a locker room playing with other people's stuff. Again, dismissing the seriousness of this. The reason why he should be embarrassed is because the level of just immaturity or what have you, or insensitivity, that clearly was not something that was shared by others. You want to play around and just verbalize how dismissive you are about it, that's one thing. But to sit up there and be totally insensitive to the notion that you could potentially infect somebody else, other people didn't do that, so why the hell were you doing it? So when he goes on his Instagram and he says that he's embarrassed, we'll take him at his word. There's nothing in his character that says that he's not sincere about what he's saying, but nevertheless, it still doesn't disguise nor dissipate the level of immaturity and flat-out stupidity that he had engaged in, and nobody is going to ignore that for a long time to come, because that video is going to circulate and disseminate for some time.
For sure. I think invincibility is one way to possibly describe how Rudy and many people, I mean, including myself, but many of us feel invincible with this, or felt until now, because in the last 48 hours, a lot has changed. And most importantly, we take away from it, maybe, I hope my story serves as a warning and causes everyone to take this seriously. Set that aside, Stephen, I'd like to get your thoughts also on what the NCAA decided within the last hour to cease all sporting activities. Again, the headline right now for us as the basketball tournament was about to begin is that it will not be happening, men's or women's, in 2020. When you heard that, you said what?
Well, it's fine that they made the decision. I think that they're a bit late. They should have done this last night immediately upon learning that the NBA had suspended its season. This is the NCAA, known for exploiting the student athlete, showing no respect for their number one asset, which was the student athlete, until they were absolutely positively forced to. We all know that the NCAA, in terms of college basketball, makes their money primarily off of March Madness. But it would be one thing if you were calling for the March Madness to be completely canceled and for the NCAA to lose out on $1 billion+ that it was scheduled to earn. It's another thing entirely to simply call upon the NCAA to postpone it, to suspend it until everybody got their bearings under them, learned more about this and how to handle it and what have you. They seemed a bit reluctant to just do that, and it just reminded us of their tendency to exploit the student athlete at every possible turn for the almighty dollar. This is the NCAA's history. It's been their history, and as far as I'm concerned, this latest move by them doesn't gloss over or doesn't erase the reality that they've always been about that, and they continue to be about that. They were late to the party.
Yes.
They had no excuse taking this long to make that decision, particularly when you have institutions of higher learning sending students home just to make sure that they're safe. You have the Ivy League and other conferences that suspended or flat out canceled tournament competition and play. for the safety of the student athlete. But the NCAA waited and waited and waited, dragged their feet when they were given an opportunity to join right in with the NBA. Because if the NBA is suspending its activities indefinitely, then guess what? It gave the NCAA the license to do the same, because you didn't have to worry about the March Madness, which ultimately could have become May Madness, interfering or trying to compete with the NBA playoffs. By virtue of the NBA's willingness to suspend its play and postpone its play, you're prolonging your season, which gave the NCAA the license to prolong March Madness and extend it into May. They dropped the ball, but nothing's new here, because they usually drop the ball when it comes to athletes, their number one asset, which they continuously and repeatedly disrespect and disregard in the interest of earning the almighty dollar for themselves. They're pathetic, but it is what it is.